All right, a good Tuesday morning to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist John Dawson. This is our morning weather update for you here. Glad you're checking in. And Mike Itzkowitz, our chief meteorologist, did a fantastic discussion this morning about why our cars are so dirty, or just really everywhere across the area that got rained on yesterday has this layer of filth that is on it. Here's one of our cars that were in the parking lot here at Fox 26, and you can just see that a lot of this happening, where you sort of just see all of this dust and muck and sandy looking dirt that's everywhere. A lot of times this happens with us sometimes when the pollen levels get really high, but that's not particularly what happened this time around. With all of that rain, you'd expect maybe the rain to kind of clean everything off a little bit, but it didn't happen this time, because mixed in with all that rain in the upper high levels of our atmosphere, that rain grabbed a hold of a lot of dust particles and dropped it down when the rain came as well. And as I mentioned, our chief meteorologist Mike Itzkowitz did a fantastic discussion on this. If you go to our website, you'll see that story predominantly linked or shown there. You can get kind of an explanation. I'm not going to try to redo what he did, but he did a great job of kind of explaining how all that worked. So what happened was yesterday, the big storm system that moved on through, we had the rain from this warm front during the day, and then the much stronger storms that moved through in the afternoon hours. On the upper level low was just pulling and churning and pushing all sorts of dust from West Texas. So you've got West Texas dust all over our cars this morning is kind of what we're dealing with. Again, as it just sort of kicked it up, pulled it up high in the air and just carried it all across the state. And then finally all that rain just pulled it down and dropped it right on us here across the Houston area. Now, things certainly look a lot better outside right now. This is one of our tower cams in downtown Houston, looking, I think this is the south. I should have double checked what direction we were heading here before I brought up the camera. But this is, again, from downtown Houston, and the skies, you can see much clearer. All that stuff got washed out of the atmosphere and all landed on our cars. Now, the other big news, besides that immediate walking outside and seeing the dirty cars everywhere, is going to be the cold blast that we've got coming next week. So I want to stress that this cold air, this surge that we're getting, we'll get a front on Friday, but then when we get into the beginning of next week, a real large surge of some very cold air is headed our direction. So kind of running through some of our computer models, starting with today, we can see the front that's going to be moving down Friday. And then again, we're really focused on this next level, this next area of very cold air. So on Friday, you can see some of that cooler air has reached down towards us here on the Gulf Coast. But watch how this really kind of continues to pour all the way down. And by the time we get into Monday, the holiday for many of us, that's when this is going to start. This Arctic air is going to continue to seep down. And so what we're talking about is we're going to have a couple mornings in the 20s across our area when we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. And I think Tuesday we'll have our high temperature in the 30s. So that's a shot of some cold air that I want you to be ready for. We'll have that whole discussion about the protecting the 4 Ps of pets, plants, people, pipes, maybe not necessarily in that order, but if you need a little more time to get prepared for that, maybe you've got some plants on the back porch that are very large and you need assistance in getting those to a warmer location, you've got several days to kind of get planning for that, because again, we're looking at that big surge of cold air. All right, so let's get back to a little bit more current. Here's what we're looking at right now. All that mess that had the severe storms yesterday for us has moved on. It's going to really impact quite a bit of the country. It's going to continue to bring severe weather, another wintry type storm, more rain, I think, than snow, but certainly some frozen precipitation mixed in with that over the next couple of days. But as I mentioned, once we get into Thursday and Friday, we're watching that next system of storms that's going to be moving through, and that's going to bring us some cooler temperatures and some rain possibly when we get into early on Friday. High temperatures yesterday, so mild, just downright warm and muggy ahead of the front. We had mid-70s across the board. This lows this morning got down into the 30s up in the Huntsville area, made it to 42 degrees officially at Intercontinental Airport. So very chilly morning overall. We're even colder for tomorrow morning. And then our temperatures right now, we're still finding ourselves in the 40s for the majority of us. We're going to warm up a little bit more, but it's going to be kind of tough. Winds are another issue that we've been talking about. Our gusts right now in the 40-mile-an-hour range up in the Dallas and Abilene area. We're in the 25 to 30 range across our area. We could see those more specifics, actually even a little bit higher than 30. We've got the actual sustained winds at 22 miles an hour at Hobby Airport, those gusts reaching up to 32 miles an hour. So Galveston even breezier at 33, over in Anahuac at 36. So very windy across our area right now. That continues for the rest of the day. So the bigger picture here, what we're looking at when we talk about our headlines is it's breezy and cool today. It'll be very cold for tomorrow morning. And then we're going to get a little milder before that next system arrives Thursday night. And then that much colder air is going to be moving in when we move into next week. And here's sort of a taste of that. These are current temperatures. Yeah, that's a negative 36 up there in parts of Canada right now. So Fairbanks looking at 3 degrees. Dawson, Alaska right now, negative 22. So that's that colder air, all that kind of pooling and working its way down towards us. In the meantime, we've talked about how active our eastern portions of the state is going to be. There's flood watches, there's heavy rain and severe storms for the southeastern portions. We're very windy, very cold, and dry for sure. That storm system continues to move up. As I mentioned, this will have more rain than snow compared to the last storm system, but certainly we're seeing some of that frozen precipitation that's going to be mixed in there as well. We're going to be looking for some possibility of some severe storms over on the East Coast. So all that mess that we went through yesterday, the folks over along the Carolinas and Georgia and even into Florida are dealing with that. Remember those tornado threats that we were talking about yesterday? Well, now here the Carolinas are dealing with it. That higher than normal chance that a tornado might be spawned either later today or tonight. And then the flooding risk. Here's the excessive rainfall outlook. That 40% chance of flooding happening all the way up into Virginia, Washington, all the way up even into New York and Pennsylvania is where we're looking at some of the higher amounts of rainfall that's going to be happening, again, in too short of amount of time that receives that flooding. Wind advisory is the only thing happening right now, but it does include us here in southeast Texas, all of Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, much of Oklahoma. So that's going to eventually sort of progress to the east as that storm system continues to move, but that wind advisory in effect for the majority of today. Quick review of yesterday and that severe weather that we were dealing with. Lots of damaging winds. We had one tornado that was up in the San Jacinto area. Pasadena had some very strong straight line winds that created some damage, knocked out some power, tore some roofs off and that sort of thing. At least 60-mile-an-hour winds with that. And then we talked about the tornado that was over near Cold Spring, a train spotter identifying that tornado that was on the ground sort of to the south of the Lake Livingston area. There was also a water spout on Lake Livingston. So we're dealing with a cool morning. Those wind gusts sustained winds at 22 miles an hour, the gusts up to 30, temperature still in the 40s at the moment. Normally we'd expect a high temperature of around 63 degrees. We'll see if we can make it up into the mid 50s. Here's that cold blast of air that's coming for us next week. This is our extended 6 to 10 day outlook, so much cooler than usual. You can see here on our chart here how far we're getting down below those averages. Our futurecast for today keeps it windy and cool, but yet very dry. Cold tonight, many of us in the 30s, or all of us should be in the 30s with clear and cold, clear skies overall. And then a milder day for tomorrow. I think it's really going to be pleasant for whatever you might have in store if it includes some outdoor activities. Right now, this rain of a 40%, that's going to be in the first half of the day on Friday. It's going to be much blustery and windy and drier in the afternoon on Friday. That rolls into that chilly morning on Saturday. Now, depending on how windy it is, if the wind's calm, I think we'll for sure hit that freezing mark on Saturday morning of 32 degrees. But then remember, that's not the cold blast, the surge. That's coming later. That'll be after Monday. Monday's the beginning of that. And then really it's Tuesday when we begin to see the bigger change happening with that Arctic air that's moving on through it. All right, glad you checked in with us this morning on the morning weather update. We'll be back right here at noon with a full newscast.
Wounded and captured